Well, I have good news for you today. The good news today comes from the 7 churches in the book of Revelation, chapters 2 and 3. And today's message is all about the church called Thyatira. If we had to rename the message, we'd call it Jezebel, Sex, and Idol Worship. Boy, that should get your attention. We're not X-rated today, but maybe PG-13. So keep that in mind. We're looking at the book of Revelation that gives us so much information about Jesus. It's the revelation of Jesus Christ. You can see on the map that there are the 7 churches that begin in the lower left-hand corner on the Isle of Patmos. That's where the letter was written, and then it was written to those 7 churches. And pretty much Thyatira is right there at the top. It's not quite as far north as Pergamum, but it's very close. So there are 3 churches before it and 3 churches after it, so it makes it the center church. It's right in the middle. And here you can see a map, and this map is actually a road map. It shows the roads of the first century. And anyone that was coming to Pergamus, they would have to go through another city called Thyatira. So Pergamus was the capital, and what happened is that Thyatira, which is just a little south of there, it actually protected Pergamus. Remember, Pergamus had a fortress. There was an Acropolis, it's called. It was a fortress on top of a mountain. The same could be said of Ephesus. But when you get to Thyatira, well, you've driven to Las Vegas, no doubt, from here. And you remember you get out into the desert and you just drive and you drive and you drive, and it's flat and there's nothing else there. That's Thyatira. It has no natural fortress. It's just out in the open, and it was specifically built as what's called a garrison city. It was specifically built to protect Pergamus. So any enemy from the south, from the east that would be coming to Pergamus, they would first of all have to go through Thyatira. And so what we find is that as this city was built, it adopted the name, of course, Thyatira, which according to Sir William Ramsay means weakness made strong. So this was a weak city. It was vulnerable to attack. But it was made strong because the armies that were located in Pergamus were sent, at least several regiments were sent to Thyatira to protect it. So it was weakness, but it was made strong because it was reinforced with manpower. The background of the city is that it has no natural defenses. It was built about 300 years before the time of Christ. Because of the weakness, it had to be fortified by the military, and it enjoyed much peace and prosperity after about the year 190 because it had so much power. It had manpower. And it was famous for trade guilds and commerce. That was its claim to fame. It was known for its bronzesmiths and red dyes made from the madder root. Now, those are 2 key things that we're going to see in this message: bronze and the dyes. So we want to keep that in mind. It's known for its bronzesmiths and its red dye, and it's the smallest and least important of the 7 cities. So you have weakness made strong in Thyatira. In the Roman Empire, Ephesus was the political center, and Smyrna was the commercial center, and Pergamus was the religious center, and Thyatira had the trade unions. So that was the trade union center. And archaeological discoveries have confirmed this, that there are so many trade unions. The bakers had a union, and the dyers had a union. The bronzesmiths had a union. Almost every group of workers had a union. And this union had certain requirements. First of all, if you were going to work at all in Thyatira, you had to be a member of the union. There were no jobs other than union jobs. You might be an independent person who could have your own business, but if you were an employee, you had to be part of the union. Each union had its own deity. Each union had a god that it worshiped. So if you were a member of the union, you would worship and you would sacrifice to that god. And at the end of the festivities, the festivals that they'd have for these gods, there would be sexual orgies. They had temple prostitutes, and both men and women. And it's not something that a Christian would participate in. Now, that's kind of the situation. You have this union, and in order to be part of the union, you had to partake of these activities, and what we found is that Christians had a hard time doing that. Now, one of the unions had to do with the herb. It's called the madder root. And you take this root, and this grows in other places, by the way, but it's the water in Thyatira that is particularly meaningful, because the water is different. The chemical makeup of the water there makes this red dye or this purple dye work better. So they take the madder root, they would boil it, and it produced a red dye. And when I was in Thyatira, there were people right on the streets who were making rugs. And I took this picture because of the bright colors that you see there, the reds and the purples. And there again was a person with red on, and I took that picture. Another one, just simply because of the redness of the outfits. This is Akhizar. This is downtown Turkey. And here we find, it looks pretty much like a normal city. Its population is about 40,000 people today. And the church in Thyatira is pretty much non-existent. If you look for the history of the city, there's one city block that would take up about as much room as this church facility that we're in. We have, I think, about 3 acres here, the church and the parking lot surrounding it, and it's about the same size. And at this site, there is only one thing to see, and that is this building that has been demolished over time because of earthquakes. And we have, here we took a picture of our guide, and here is some more of the partial columns that were there. Here's an arch, and this arch is important because from the engravings on the arch, they could tell it's a Christian arch. So at some point, they actually made